Minister Stoyanov, Mrs. Borisova, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends. Welcome to the International IP Enforcement Summit. This is the 5th time that we bring together key European and international decision makers, law enforcement authorities, multinational and smaller companies, and other relevant players to discuss how to improve the protection and enforcement of IP rights in the European Union, but also globally. If we want to encourage investment in innovation, we need an efficient and effectively enforced IP infrastructure to prevent commercial-scale IP infringement and the economic and social harm that they cause. Only in this way will creators and investors in the EU be able to reap proper returns for their innovation and be driven to develop welfare-enhancing advances for EU citizens. Since the first IP Enforcement Summit in London in 2014, we have seen significant progress being made in the area of IP enforcement and stakeholder collaboration and engagement. A key development has been the inclusion of IP crime amongst the European Multidisciplinary Platform Against Criminal Threats, or EMPACT, priorities for the 22-25 policy cycle, thanks to the advocacy carried out by many stakeholders and many of you who are here with us today. We are holding the summit in Sofia, which is also an authentic city, as Ms. Borisova said, as the Ministry of Interior of Bulgaria is the leader of the EMPACT IP Crime Action Plan at European level. This edition of the International IP Enforcement Summit represents a unique opportunity for stakeholders to share their expectation at a very relevant moment in the decision-making process ahead of the launch of the EU Toolbox against counterfeiting later this year. The Toolbox will complement the Digital Service Act, whose ambitious rules aim to ensuring more accountability for the providers of network infrastructure and, in particular, online platforms and social media platforms. Some of these online businesses have already undertaken voluntary measures, participating in different initiatives such as the Stakeholder Dialogue or Memorandum of Understanding under the Commission's Follow the Money approach. By setting landmark rules for online players, the Digital Service Act is also an opportunity for the EUIPO to further support the Commission and national authorities in the implementation of the IP-related enforcement activities of this new European regulation, for example, through knowledge-building activities or by providing input on the systemic issues of intermediaries in the fight against online IP infringement. Every single thing that we can do, whether in the form of legislative initiative, stakeholder dialogues, information and knowledge sharing, or leverage of technological development, can only help in the fight against counterfeiting and piracy. And we need to do everything we can to be more effective in fighting IP infringement, especially as regards intelligence gathering and exchanging of information between authorities. At EUIPO, one of our flagship projects is specifically designed to support these exchanges, and it is, of course, the IP Enforcement Portal, or IPEP. This project offers a secure portal for the exchange of data amongst enforcers and with right holders, as well as single entry points for the submission and management of applications for actions. We are currently working on developing and improving the project, such as with the deployment of the IPEP mobile app for enforcement authority, which will simplify and improve the notification of detentions. But we also need many, many more right holders to make use of this tool. In today's increasingly technical and interconnected digital landscape, we need to use the very latest technologies in order to protect digital content and guarantee the authenticity of products. This is why we have been working on a way of interconnecting product track and trace solutions with the risk analysis systems of enforcement authorities and existing EUIPO tool like TMView, DesignView, the IP Enforcement Portal, and our IP register on blockchain. Following the anti-counterfeiting blockathon infrastructure design contest organized by the EUIPO last year, we developed a proof of concept for blockchain-based infrastructure that will authenticate product and exchange data between all parties in the supply chain and customs authorities. And this works. We have organized the sending of products from China with all the people involved in the supply chain. We expect to have an operational pilot of this infrastructure in place by the end of this year. Looking forward, the EUIPO will continue collaborating with key partners through the Blockathon Forum, a network of blockchain experts and different entities involved in the fight against counterfeiting. We will also work in close collaboration with the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure and the Digital Product Passport. We welcome all right holders, manufacturers, logistic operators, enforcement authorities, retailers, as well as the entire blockchain community to take part in this journey with us, because it is only by working together that we will make this happen. At the EUIPO, this is not the only solution that we have developed to tackle the challenge of IPR infringement. We are also looking at assisting small and medium enterprises with the IP scan on enforcement as part of the EU Toolbox that Commissioner Breton is responsible for. As part of our SME Fund 2023, EUIPO will pilot an IP scan enforcement service based on the IP scan service already provided to give guidance to SMEs on what to do if their IP rights are infringed or if they are at risk of being challenged by a third party for an alleged infringement of a third-party IP asset. We expect this new service to go live end of September of this year. And we also support policymakers by providing a solid objective basis for their actions. We recently published a discussion paper on fighting illegal streaming of live events, covering the current trends, challenges, and good practices, which served as a basis for discussion for the recommendation very recently adopted by the European Commission on combating online piracy of live content. The EUIPO has taken on the task to support the implementation and monitoring of the recommendation, and together with the Commission, will organize a conference in Alicante on the 9th and 10th of October, which will be the first ever event of a specialized network of national authorities managed by the EUIPO. Finally, let's not forget that it's not all about enforcement. Very often, it's also about explaining and understanding, as the IP perception study we just published showed. Here, our work to combat illegal downloading and promote legal alternatives, as well as our education activities and IP training for enforcers, are key. And lastly, the Observatory cooperates with national authorities and various national partners, IP offices, consumers associations, municipalities, to carry out the awareness campaigns and media outreach on the value of IP and the negative consequence of their infringement. In 2023, as the single market turns 30 years old, it is increasingly clear that IP plays a very strong role, not only in our resilience, but also in our competitiveness and growth. And at EUIPO, we work together with the EU institution, national and international authorities, and other public and private stakeholders to provide evidence, the cooperations, the tool, and more generally, the environment to really make a difference. This International IP Enforcement Summit can help us be more knowledgeable, more joined up, and more effective in the fight against IP infringement. And it is a real pleasure to have been able to address you this morning. Thank you, and have a good conference.